Thailand's Prime Minister has been dismissed by the Constitutional Court. Judges ruled that Paetongtarn Shinawatra failed to defend the nation's interests in a leaked phone call with powerful former Cambodian leader Hun Sen. So, what are the consequences of her removal? This is Inside Story. Hello, welcome to the programme. I'm Adrian Finighan. Thailand's youngest ever Prime Minister has been removed from office, found by the Constitutional Court to have acted against the country's interests. Paetongtarn Shinawatra's sacking stems from a leaked phone call with the former Cambodian Prime Minister Hun Sen, where she appeared to criticise the powerful Thai military. This could mean more political upheaval in a country where the monarchy and generals are a major political force. And it's also another setback for her family's political dynasty. She's in fact the sixth Prime Minister, either from the Shinawatra family or supported by it, to be removed from office by the courts or the military. So what does this all mean for Thailand? And what does it tell us about the stability and balance of power in Thailand's democracy? We'll discuss all that with our guests shortly, but first a report from Joel Evans.
It all began with a phone call, which was later leaked and cost Thailand's Prime Minister her job. Paetongtarn Shinawatra was suspended by a powerful court in July, accused of violating the constitution. In the phone call with Cambodia's former leader Hun Sen, Shinawatra referred to him as uncle and appeared to criticise one of her own military commanders. The leak caused political uproar across Thailand, with some accusing her of treason. On Friday, the Constitutional Court ruled she violated ethical standards and removed her from office. After the ruling, Shinawatra said she sought to safeguard her country's interests.
First of all, in paying my respects to the judicial process, I accept the Constitutional Court's verdict. However, speaking as a Thai person, I would like to insist on my pure intentions and true determination to serve the country. In the phone conversation that was leaked, I did not ask for anything that would have benefited me personally.
The scandal badly weakened the government as a long-standing border dispute with Cambodia spiraled into crisis. Fighting along the Thai-Cambodia border killed at least 38 people last month, most of them civilians. A ceasefire agreement ended 5 days of fighting, but some are now questioning if Thailand's Constitutional Court has become too powerful.
It is not a surprise, but it is a big blow to the political system. Even those who are not supporting Prime Minister or former Prime Minister Paetongtarn believe that the Constitutional Court now is wielding too much power and something needs to be done. Otherwise, people who get elected can be too easily removed.
The ruling means Paetongtarn is removed from office immediately, plunging Thailand into another period of political uncertainty. Joel Evans, Al Jazeera, for Inside Story.
Let's bring in our guests, all of whom are joining us from Thailand. In Bangkok is Nattakorn Devakula, an independent political commentator and a former television host. In Ubon, Ratchathani, Titipol Phakdeewanich is a political scientist at the Ubon Ratchathani University. And also in Bangkok, Khemthong Tonsakulrungruang, assistant professor of political science at Chulalongkorn University. A warm welcome to you all, gentlemen. Nattakorn, let's start with you. Let's get something straight. Did Paetongtarn Shinawatra break the law? Has she done anything illegal?
It really depends on how you view what the law is. I mean, you have the Constitutional Court that is able to decide on issues of this type. So basically, the court found her guilty as charged. But if you are going to define it as breaking the law, I would say no. Basically, the Constitution was drafted in a way that would allow for the Constitutional Court to have the power to dismiss, a sitting prime minister based on her lack of qualifications. Now, not having qualifications on issues of ethics is not necessarily a breaking of the law. So I would say no. But according to the courts, she was found not having the qualifications when it comes to ethics, but it's not a breaking of the law.
All right. It wasn't then a politically motivated decision.
None of this is politically motivated. Basically, what you have is essentially a constitution that gives the constitutional court so much power that they have the ability to draft this set of ethical codes that all politicians would have to abide by. And if one of them is found lacking these qualifications, then the court itself does have the power to dismiss them. So it's just how the Constitution is structured, which basically brought the situation to today.
Titipol, what do you make of that? Her position may have become politically untenable following the leaked call with Hun Sen, deeply embarrassing as it was for her and her party. But what does her dismissal by the Constitutional Court tell us about the state of democracy in Thailand?
I agree with the point that she didn't actually break the law, but the problem in Thailand with the ethical practice that actually give rooms for interpretation, that is a problem that we have had for some time, that the excessive power that have been given to the court allow the court to step in. So this should be the business of the parliament. And actually the other thing that I would want to mention is to some extent some point that the court raised about her judgment and the way she make that phone call. I think it should be a kind of once the phone is leaked, and many people disagree and with the action that was taken by the Prime Minister. This should be a kind of ethical standard that should be set in Thai Parliament. If political leader make mistake, they should step down. So the responsibility of the person, everything should be done within the parliament, and we should actually have this kind of things. If you look at other countries like in England or in Japan, when mistake is made by prime minister or political leader, they actually take responsibility by stepping down. And this is the thing that we don't have in Thai politics, that give rooms for the conservative to argue the justification of having the constitutional court to take action.
Okay, Khemthong, has the court overstepped its authority, or is it the Constitution that is wrong in this case? Picking up on what Titipol was saying there.
Indeed, the court ruled within the jurisdiction as given by the Constitution. So the court, as the guardian or the rule keeper of Thai politics, the court can rule on ineligibility of any political office holder. And in this case, it states clearly that the court can check on the Prime Minister dishonesty and whether the Prime Minister seriously violates the ethical code of conduct or ethical standard, right? So the easy answer is yes, the court acts within the boundary of law. But if you look into the case itself, I think the court makes a lot of assumptions within the decisions, like that Paetongtarn was more concerned about her own popularity than national interest, and the court described that without producing any convincing evidence showing that Paetongtarn did actually have that intention or that she compromised national reputation or national integrity. So the more difficult answer is like yes, but the decision is also like poorly reasoned.
Nattakorn, who's really in charge in Thailand? Elected politicians?
Professor
the monarchy? Hang on.
Very valid point.
Hang on. Yeah, okay. Please come back on that point, and then I'll put the question to you.
Yeah, the Constitutional Court is acting within its prerogatives, but at the same time, if you read the judgment very carefully, the court made a lot of assumptions about the motives of the now former prime minister, and some of those assumptions remain really unproven. Now, if you ask me who is really in charge in Thailand, I would say that at this point, the Constitutional Court has become a body that can basically remove democratically elected prime minister. So at this point, the court is in charge in helping to choose who is able to qualify for the position of prime minister. Now, in the way that this particular verdict was written, it almost paves way for the courts to actually step in when the prime minister does not carry out foreign policies in the way that is deemed fit. So it is a problem in the standard that has been set.
Titipol, what do you make of that? Paetongtarn said in her remarks to the press after the court ruling that she didn't ask for anything in that leaked phone call that would benefit her personally, and that she intended with determination to save lives. And then she went on to say that the Thai people must come together to create political stability so that this kind of abrupt change can no longer occur. What do you make of those comments? To what extent was Paetongtarn genuine in her intentions, perhaps, but politically naive?
To some extent, I think her argument was justified when she argued that she tried to actually solve the problem, but because of her experiences, and she didn't actually have experience. So then I think that is one of the problem, and also her perception towards the problem as well, and that because she doesn't understand the real situation that is actually happening on the ground and the complexity of the issues. So that is one of the problem that actually perhaps she sees things in a more simplistic way, because she trusts in the relations between her father and Hun Sen. That's why she made that phone call. And with the problem that we have seen, like I agree with the previously when the discussion about the interpretation of the court that actually extend beyond what is actually is, and I think that is a problem with the ethical practice in Thai constitution. Well, let me put it this way: I think it's perhaps show us why the constitution was written after the coup this way. To some extent, it reflects the political rhetoric that we had in the coup, before the coup in 2014. We have the terms "kondi" or good person. That rhetoric was one of the main reasons for the supporter of the coup. So then they believe that if we have a good person, we have good ethical practice as a standard, then we can have a good country, which I disagree. I think we should believe in democracy and allow the parliament to function in its manner.
Khemthong, what happens next? Parliament will meet to select a new prime minister. Is there any one candidate that the parties can rally around? Will the coalition be able to form a new government, or will there have to be new elections?
No, the parliament is still in power. So next week, I think by Wednesday, they're going to convene to select a new prime minister. So right now, negotiation is underway. The problem is that the way that Thai constitutional mandate is written is that prime minister can be selected from a list of candidates that is submitted before the election. So right now, I mean, Thai politics is very destructive. So a lot of dissolution and disqualification. So we are down to two real candidates. One is Kun Chaigasem from Pheu Thai, so the same party as Kun Paetongtarn. He is her successor, and Kun Anutin from Phum Jai Thai. So right now, a negotiation is underway, but I am afraid that it is actually very difficult for any of them to gain like a decisive majority. Right now, the House is split almost equally between the two cliques, so they are really hard, and I suspect that there's going to be a lot of defection or even like buying up MPs to get more votes.
Nattakorn, how do ordinary Thais feel about the state of democracy in their country and about the dismissal of the Prime Minister, the fifth to be removed from office by the Constitutional Court, all of them from administrations backed by Paetongtarn's father Thaksin?
To be honest, Kun Paetongtarn was never as popular as her father. So public support against her dismissal is not that strong, especially the fact that she was quite politically naive and a dove. She was dovish on foreign policy with Cambodia, and especially in these discussions with Hun Sen. So she was not popular in the first place. So she's not getting the same treatment as, let's say, other politicians would get when they were sacked by the Constitutional Court. Be that as it may, honestly, I think most of the Thai people are quite desensitized to the actions of the Constitutional Court. They don't really know what to do. They complain about it in the way that I complain about it. But as long as we don't have a new constitution yet, the Constitutional Court will continue to have this power. And this power basically gives them a hand in guiding whoever becomes the next prime minister. Whoever is the next prime minister can't afford to be dovish against Hun Sen, has to be a hawk. And he has to be very careful who he appoints to become minister. Otherwise, he's going to be faced with another violation of the ethical conduct code. So it is a problem, but I don't think the Thai people have a way out of this unless they're willing to push for, constitution revisions in a major way, which is not going to happen very easily. But it is one of the conditions of the opposition party. If they support Anutin Charnvirakul to become prime minister, he would have to follow along with the idea of issuing a referendum to see whether or not the people want a constitution, a redrafting committee to be established. That could be something that is in the works.
Titipol, you're in a town close to the border with Cambodia. How do people there feel about Paetongtarn and her party and her father?
Yeah, actually, the feeling towards Paetongtarn has, she doesn't have a strong support from the people here, apart from the legacy of her father. And actually, a few weeks ago, when I talked with people on the border, one of the main things that highlighted by people here that they don't trust the government, because now it's quite sad when they say that they get information about the problem on the border just from searching on YouTube, Google, and how can they trust everything that they see there? Because the government hasn't done a good job in providing information for the people. And the other thing is that if you look at the performance of the Pheu Thai since they took office, that is the other thing, that they couldn't do what they have promised to the people, which is different when Thaksin was in power. And when they campaign, they try to claim their ability to be fair on Thaksin. When he was prime minister, he implemented everything that he promised during the campaign. But this time they cannot do what they did before. So this is one of the problems of the party. And the other thing, they fail to recognize the demand of young people for more liberty and freedom in the country. And they refuse to push for the reform of or rewriting of the Thai constitution. That is also another problem. I think if they took this step when they had power, they might be able to solve the problem by reducing the power of the Constitutional Court, because that was also one of the main things about the reform of the Constitution as well. But the Pheu Thai refused to actually push for that, and that was the problem. And when we look at the future, then I agree with when the previous speaker mentioned about her popularity is not. We cannot compare with her father. And so what happened with her, I don't think we have a strong sentiment that we have seen in the past when Thaksin was removed from power, and his power base in this area, in this northeastern part of Thailand, has a very strong feeling against the establishment back then. But I don't think we would see that picture with Paetongtarn at this moment.
Khemthong, what does all of this mean for relations with Cambodia? To what extent has the Prime Minister's dismissal played into the hands of Hun Sen?
Yes, indeed. I think this decision is rightly in favor of Hun Sen. The Cambodian strongman had earlier announced that Thailand gonna have a change of political leadership, and it does, right? Today it shows that Hun Sen was right. He can shake or destabilize Thai politics by that 17 minutes of like leaked video telephone call. And what does that mean? That means like for the next week or even next month, Thailand will be more occupied with like forming a new government and renegotiation of all the political bargainings. So that means that give Cambodia a lot of opportunities to step up their games on the border crisis, like on like legally and politically. The Cambodia gonna have an upper hand doing that.
Nattakorn, she is the fourth member of her family to have their term cut short by either military coup or court ruling. What does this decision mean for the Shinawatra dynasty, which has dominated Thai politics, of course, for 2 decades now? Is the Shinawatra brand irreparably tarnished?
I would say it is over for his family when it comes to being in politics. He should have quit while he was ahead, honestly, because when he came back and he had the opportunity to lay low and then stay at home and then including removing his daughter from politics and letting go of the Pheu Thai party, he chose not to do that, and I think it was not a wise choice. I mean, he may have calculated that his stance in society is better now after coming back, living abroad for a long, long time, but he miscalculated. And so basically, instead of quitting while ahead and coming out of jail and being able to stay at home with family, he basically decided to continue on. And now the death knell has been dealt out by the Constitutional Court. He has no choice but to not have a political heir anymore. His daughter is really the only one of his children who is interested in politics. So to me, it's kind of a sad ending for the entire Thaksin saga, because he was an effective prime minister, and for 5 or 6 years he was extremely popular.
Okay.
But then, because of this entire fiasco, I think he will be out of politics for the foreseeable future. There's no coming back for this. Because
all right.
If you're going to have a political dynasty, you need an heir.
Titipol, what about the party that both the Prime Minister and her father represented? To what extent are they now out of touch with the electorate, but particularly younger voters, after of course coming second in the last election to the youth-led Move Forward Party, and then reneging on their promise not to ally with the royalist military establishment? I mean, what do young people want of Thai politics? How engaged in it are they?
Actually, young people are very active and engaging in Thai politics. If you look at the protests between 2020 to 2023, and there was quite a number of protests in Thailand. But when the protest ended in 2023, it doesn't mean that the momentum died away. They still engage in different forms, different platforms, social media, and this kind of thing. And one thing that we have seen is that Thaksin and the Pheu Thai, I think they have been in denial to accept that their popularity has declined. Judging from the last election in 2023, they didn't win. And with all kind of populist campaign, they didn't actually make a big comeback as they thought they would be able to do that. And when we look at the demand of young people, and the Pheu Thai actually they have tried to connect with young people by having what they call Pheu Thai Academy. But I don't think that would be the best way to reconnect with that when they refuse to reform Thai politics, refuse to touch on certain issues, refuse to support the amendment of the Thai constitution that actually make cost them a lot with their popularity amongst young people in Thailand, as young people demand for more liberty and freedom, not just economic prosperity, that the Pheu Thai believe that could be a magic pill for them to regain their popularity. But I don't think that is the case with Thai politics today.
All right. Khemthong, we're rapidly running out of time. We've got about a minute and a half left on the program. One final question. Is political stability even possible in Thailand, given where we are now, at least the kind of stability that would satisfy voters, particularly younger voters, or is this cycle that we're in set to continue for the foreseeable future? If it is, what will that mean for Thailand's economy and for its position in the region?
Stability will only come with self-restraint, right? So every power players in this game has to realize their own limit and their own consequence of their own, like when they exercise power. And so far, I mean, stability is very far away or not like unforeseeable future, because the court, for example, is still exercising their power in a very aggressive manner and disregard all the consequence of their own action. So with that, I mean, it is very difficult to placate the polities. Younger generation, they ask for like a reform of monarchy, a reform of the army, or like a better education, better environment, and no one is willing to touch on these issues for fear that they're gonna upset the army and the court. And these two institutions are very happy to exercise their power whenever they want to. So my answer is that stability is actually very, very difficult to achieve right now.
There, gentlemen, we must end it. Many thanks indeed for being with us. Nattakorn Devakula, Titipol, Phakdeewanich, and Khemthong Tonsakulrungruang. And thanks for watching. You can see the programme again at any time by going to the website. That's at aljazeera.com. For further discussion, join us at our Facebook page at facebook.com/AJ Inside Story. And of course, you can join the conversation on X. Our handle there at AJ Inside Story. From me, Adrian Finighan, and the team here in Doha. We'll see you again. Bye for now.
Don't miss out. Get a full picture. Subscribe to Al Jazeera for reliable news, expert insight. Like, share, stay ahead.